One of the stories that slipped under the radar while folks in Washington were away for the holidays was the transfer of 4 terror suspects from Gitmo. They were flown to Afghanistan on December the 20th, and another 5 that were sent to Kazakhstan on the 30th. Now the total number of prisoners left in Gitmo is just 127, and even more of the people there are expected to be released this year. Joining me now is Pete Hegseth. He's Fox News contributor and CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. And Pete was actually stationed at one time at Gitmo. Pete, welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Governor.
Let's talk about these guys that are being released from Gitmo. Who are they?
Well, at this point, we're releasing, nobody that's being released is low risk. These are all medium or high risk detainees as assessed by our intelligence services. The 9 that were released during the holidays, again, all of them at some point were deemed very high risk to the United States of America. It's helpful to use a couple of examples. So on December 20th, one of the 4 that was released, his name is Muhammad Zahir. He was released back to Afghanistan. He was caught, he was a trafficker in Stinger missiles, the types that take down airliners. He was also found with a small amount of nuclear material with a desire to build a nuclear device. He was a high-level Taliban intelligence officer with heavy connections to the highest levels of the Taliban directorate. And he was listed, as I said, he was listed as high risk and a high intelligence value. He's still in touch with a lot of folks in Afghanistan today, and that's exactly where we're sending him to with limited controls. A second great example is from December 30th, this group that was released to Kazakhstan. Abdel bin Ahmed is his name. He was a senior advisor to Osama bin Laden in Tora Bora. We're talking a military advisor, attacks against Americans, once again, connections to terrorist groups across the world, assessed as a high risk. He is being sent back to Kazakhstan. We're not sure how closely he'll be guarded or how openly he'll be able to move. He trained at terrorist camps, was affiliated with the Global Jihadist Support Network. So as you can tell, Governor, these are nasty folks with American blood on their hands that would seek to do more harm if they can.
Yeah, these aren't guys who were just singing too loud in the mosque last week. I mean, these are guys, a guy hauling around a Stinger missile and some uranium is clearly a threat to the United States and to peace across the world. You know, I'm scratching my head. Why are we letting these guys go? And what kind of explanation is the administration giving for the rationale of letting them go?
You know, when I was there were 650 detainees there. I was there in 04 and 05. Today, as you said, there are 127. Anyone who was swept up in the battlefield is long since gone. The president knows that. But he is obsessed with closing Guantanamo Bay. He thinks it's too big of a sin that we ever started it in the first place, and it needs to be closed. He's not worried about the ramifications of their release. As has been widely reported on Fox News, 30% of these guys are returning to the battlefield. 30%. I guarantee you that number will be higher amongst the hardcore jihadist all-stars that we're releasing now back into the population. They will be lauded as heroes. They will have special networks and connections because of their long time spent at Guantanamo Bay, which makes them even more threatening when they go back. And a lot of them are still in touch through their legal advisors, because we give them tons of legal support, still in touch with folks in the fight today. So they could plug back very quickly into fights in Afghanistan or with the Islamic State. And that's the real fear here, is the president obsessed with closing it with no real plan of what to do with these guys except to get them out of Guantanamo Bay.
You know, you were there serving. I went there in 2005. I was shocked at what an elaborate facility it is and how secure, how many billions of dollars we spent building it. Is there any reason other than politics that we would close Gitmo? Do you think this has anything to do with the new relationships with Cuba?
Nothing other than politics to do with this. Anyone who's been to Guantanamo Bay, what a professional facility we have, how careful the guards are to observe the Islamic preferences of the detainees. Clearly, our president has never been there. He doesn't know what it's really like. He's with others that believe it's a gulag. It's far from it. It's incredibly professional. These guys are well taken care of, well fed, greatest medical care, better medical care, frankly, than a lot of our vets in the VA. These guys are coddled over. It has nothing to do with their situation and everything to do with politics. And I think maybe their new relations with Cuba could be a part of this being a deal, a sweetener in the deal to normalize relations. Maybe we close Guantanamo Bay altogether because, as you know, this president feels like it's a relic of colonialism that we have that naval station anyway. He doesn't take the long view. He looks at the sins of the past and is trying to, for whatever reason, do what he can.
You know, Pete, one of the things that I remember, the soldiers who were guarding those detainees, they weren't fed as well as the detainees. And I don't think a lot of Americans understand that, you pointed out, they're well taken care of, more so than we ever could have imagined. Great having you here. Thanks for the update, and good to see you. Thank you, Pete.
Governor, thanks for highlighting this.